Today's Training Tuesday on August 4th. We are going to actually solicit some training topics from you. We're coming up on us almost doing the Training Tuesday for almost about a year now. And we've certainly gone through a lot of topics. And so we'll kind of just solicit some training topics from you because as the agency, will be running into some questions and we want to be able to make sure that we address those. There's certainly, some value in going back over some things that were done, last fall, because certainly we have new folks and we have new responsibilities and we have employees. So we will certainly hit on some of those main topics again, as well as, as Training Tuesday, we're always here for updating you in real time, CPO notices, changes in procurement code or law or rules or new forms and new processes, those sorts of things. Do have our monthly bid buy training scheduled for Wednesday, August 19th. We do have some new updated up job aids with more on the way. We have a slight addition and clarification to the small purchase job aid, and then we have our fun fact of the day. Okay, future training topics. So I want to kind of put this out to you. Like I said, that we've almost done this about a year now. And so I'd like to solicit some topics from you guys. We certainly have a list of some topics, and really as things pop up and as certain issues arise, whether it be in bid buy or system issues or particularly procurement processes, we always want to touch on those for sure, right? But I think it's probably been a while since I've asked the group if there are certain things that you would like to learn. So just as a ongoing solicitation, I guess, I'm putting this out there for everybody. Please comment in the chat. I can always copy the chat and save it, as well as, just today, but also, email cpogs.training@illinois.gov if there are those topics that you think would be helpful on a Training Tuesday, as well as just at your agency too. So our training group, Derek Reeves and I, as a part of our charge, is to train agencies. So whether you're aware of it or not, we do a lot of training for agencies. And so if there is something that your agency as a group maybe would like to go back over something, maybe you want to do small purchase training, or maybe you want to you have an IFB coming up and maybe your agency doesn't do a lot of IFBs, so you want to kind of have a agency specific training. That's what we're here for. Okay, so this doesn't necessarily have to be just for Training Tuesdays, although those topics would be helpful if there are those topics that you guys would like for me to go over. So we have our monthly bid buy training also scheduled for Wednesday, August 19th at 9 a.m. And it just occurs to me that I didn't email back Sam Morgan. So Sam, if you're out there, I know you asked last week if what the date was going to be for August 19th. I'll get back to you for sure. But if you happen to be on the call, ta-da, here you go. Wednesday, August 19th, it will be our usual all day, I say all day, about 5 hours of training that will be specific to bid buy and the bid buy processes. And we break it out into these 4 different sessions. We do an introduction, a broad overview, a little bit background behind bid buy, and the general navigation on the home screen. Take a little break. We come back at 10 a.m. and we start to layer on certain processes in bid buy, starting with a small purchase under $10,000. Take a small break. 11 o'clock, we do a small purchase, $10,000 and over. Take a lunch break, and then at 1 p.m. we do release off master training. So we do have the link here. I will send this around to APOs and SOs as well. But just as a heads up, you could copy and paste this. You can always go into the slides, and I'll have these each week leading up to the next 2 weeks, I guess, leading up to our bid buy training. We've gotten great feedback on it before. This is for those that are brand new to bid buy, as well as for those that maybe you haven't been in bid buy in a while and you'd like a little bit of a refresher course. You don't have to be there for the entire day. You can come and go as you please. Maybe there's a specific small purchase that you're doing, but you kind of know the general navigation. You just want to go over the small purchase training, and you feel free to join us at 11 o'clock. It will be the same exact link. So we'll keep it open all day. So that way you don't have multiple WebExes to keep track of. Okay. Oh, Sam is on the call. Awesome. All right. So that's our bid by training that we do each month. So let's to the updated job aids. So we have some new unified procurement program job aids specifically for the emergencies as we are going through and updating these similar to what we did with the other job aids. We're now going through the up job aids. So and you can see here that we, published 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here last week. We do put the date on there, so you can always know that the most updated version. And these are the first job aids that you're going to see the version numbers being fiscal year 21. So they'll be 21.1 moving forward. Okay. The up job aids, there's a lot that goes into those. So a big shout out to Alex Wilson and Sandy Robinson for helping me to get these updated. So we'll see another group hopefully published next week, and we'll get those all updated for you. Okay. We have a slight addition to the small purchase under $10,000 job aid. Okay, so we have a question here. What does UP mean, and also what is JPMC? Excellent. Okay, so if you're new to any of the joint purchasing processes, so UP is the Unified Procurement Program, and why don't we? I don't know. Might as well just share my screen here and go back to where the UP program is. That's a great opportunity to do that. So on our website, let me go all the way back to the CPO GS. At the very bottom, we have in the bottom right-hand corner, it's the Unified Procurement Program. So all of our joint purchasing is done through the Unified Procurement Program. You can click on that. Has a lot of information. I'm not going to walk through everything, but I do think it's important for those folks to understand that there are some joint purchasing possibilities that that the agency can do. So by using master contracts made available through the Unified Procurement Program, you save time essentially by not having to do your own procurement at your agency. So there are those joint purchase master contracts, which is JPMC. That's what that means. So you don't necessarily have to, as an agency, go out and do a procurement. You can release off of a joint purchase master contract. There are other options as well, piggyback opportunities where you piggyback off of a contract that another state or entity did that wasn't necessarily originally envisioned for the state of Illinois. That is a potential option as well. So there are some more, high-level view information on the Unified Procurement Program website. And we have gone back and we walked through this. It's probably been a little while, so maybe this might be something we would circle back to and add as an additional topic for us on a training Tuesday. But we did walk through this before, so I just suggest going in and taking a look at the processes and resources for state agencies. If you want to read through the governmental Joint Purchasing Act, you have some links here. Joint purchasing forms and templates. And so when we get to our job aids, let me go to our job aid page. So I'm back to the original CPOGS website, right? If I go to bid by and then bid by resources for state agencies. So this is the same where you would go to get your job aids. There's a link to the UP job aids. So this is where we would have all of our other job aids, right? If I'm going to do a small purchase, I select on the small purchase and we hit our job aid there. We go to UP job aids, and then you have your different options there. So for instance, the emergency, the screenshot that I used for that slide is just the emergency. And then here are the JPMC emergencies. If I'm a lead agency on a joint purchase emergency, using that. And then with the emergencies, of course, we'd have to publish the emergency final cost that's similar to the emergency job aid. But in this particular instance, it is a an emergency that resulted in a joint purchase master contract that other agencies could release off of. So once we start going down the path of up, there are some different procurement requirements. So these job aids relate and speak to what those requirements are. There's a couple different forms, authorization by the CPO to conduct a joint purchase. There's kind of a whole nother set of requirements that are required by the Governmental Joint Purchasing Act. And so we won't get into those today, but if that's something that your agency would like some additional training on, please reach out to us and we can make that happen for you. Okay, great question. Let me go back to our slides, or also make sure I didn't miss any other questions. Okay. All right, so a small purchase under $10,000. There's a slight addition. We do have a new version number. And so I can go back out and show you exactly where that is. It is now small purchase under $10,000 version 21.1. So just as a reminder, I know you guys are probably sick of me saying this, but remember, every single time you go out to do a procurement, make sure you're using that up-to-date version. And so what was added here is the standard certifications. Just said certifications, and it just said terms and conditions and not the standard certification, standard terms and conditions. So, a small change, but at the same time, when we make changes, we change the version number. And so what's important here to understand is, I think we talked about this maybe last week or maybe the week before, but just as a reminder, there is no threshold for having the standard certifications and standard terms and conditions as a part of the procurement file. So it could be a small purchase. In this case, it's under 10. So we specifically call out that, potentially the agency is not going to be using a BOA, for instance, or they would not be using a contract template for a smaller job aid or a smaller threshold like that. However, standard certifications and standard terms and conditions, which are a part of the BOA and a part of the contract template, they're not. They still need to be in the procurement file. If you aren't using a BOA, you're not using a contract template, which then puts us into this category of that small purchase under 10. You still need to have that standard certification, the standard terms and conditions. And so where those forms are, if I go back to our website, it all kind of starts with the CPOG website. As a reminder, that lives in the Procurement Resources Library here at the bottom. We go to Procurement Resources Library. All those forms are in solicitation and contract templates and forms. And for instance, we did have a question earlier before we got started. Wanted to ask if you could go over how to create a BOA and explain why one has to be created in ERP. And then I don't have access to ERP, nor do I have any experience. And then there was a clarification that I meant to ask, enter a BOA in bid by, not ERP. So first off, our solicitation and contract templates is where the standard certifications live, that's in here, as well as standard terms and conditions. So we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that we separated out the standard terms and conditions. So this standard terms and conditions as a separate form is a new posting on our website. Whereas before it was a part of the BOA, it's a part of the contract template. But also, let's talk about the BOA. So BOA is a basic ordering agreement. We do have one that's under $50,000 and one that is over $50,000. And I'll talk about just what the difference is between the two. At $50,000, there are additional procurement requirements that kick in. So at over $50,000, now you're going to have the Board of Elections certification. You have to have financial disclosures and conflicts of interest. So let me pull up the BOA under 50. and we can talk about that. So really what this does is the basic terms and conditions are attached here, as well as the over. It specifically states that it's all about this language right here. In signing the BOA, the contractor affirms that the certifications attached are true and accurate as of the date of the contractor's execution of the BOA. Now, if I pull up the BOA over 50, you'll see the difference is in signing the BOA, the contract affirms that the certifications and financial disclosures and conflicts of interest attached are true and accurate as of the date. Really, the difference is it's over 50. The contractor is saying, yes, all of the uh, financial disclosures and conflicts of interest are true and accurate. So if you scroll down, you standard terms and conditions, right? So we talked about if you're using a BOA, you already have your standard terms and conditions attached as a part of this BOA. Okay, similar to the under 50. So the terms and conditions are there, but the certifications are not. So you'd have that standard certifications as a separate document. But in terms, going back to our question, was how you create a BOA. It's not really creating it. All you're doing is go to the website. You can see where they have the signatures page here, and you just complete the form. So you're not really creating a BOA. You're just completing the form. Now, BOA are in general, they're used more for items, off-the-shelf items, those sorts of things. For services, that's when you're probably going to be using the contract template because you can be a little bit more clear and you have some more room to put some milestones and deliverables within a contract template. Okay, let's see. So that's in terms of creating them in BidBuy, all you're doing is you'd be attaching them within BidBuy. So as a part of the same way you would attach any document by going into the attachments tab, selecting add file, choose file, you go in and just attach your document. You're not really creating it within BidBuy. And so if that's not clear, just circle back to me and we can do a specific training on that. And that process is one thing that we do over the within the BidBuy training. We talk about how we attach documents and complete some of those. Okay, let's see. What am I missing here? Other question. To clarify, we just need the vendor acknowledgement of receipt of the standard terms and conditions. Correct. So that's why if you go to the job aids, you'll see. Let me go back to. Let me pull one up. As a part of our job aid. So for instance, we were looking at the small purchase under 10, right? So that's where we'd have to have that separate, make that a little bigger, where we'd have to have that separate standard terms and conditions. You can see here that it's attached at the rec and it's just showing to the vendor. So it is a part of the attachments that they see. So that's a part of what we made the change is to make sure that those were up front. And really the only change that we made was originally it said terms and conditions, and we just wanted to be very clear that we mean our standard terms and conditions that is on our website. So that way it's showing to the vendor, so the vendor can see what as I'm responding to this request for a quote, these standard terms and conditions apply. And so as a vendor, in order to even submit a quote, if I'm using the system, I actually have to check a box that says I agree to the terms and conditions. So that's where the kind of come into play. And even if they just submit as a send an email to you, because you can do that as a small purchase, right? You don't have to use the system, even though I know a lot of vendors are responding within the system. Either way, when they receive the notification and they receive solicitation from the system, those standard terms and conditions were a part of that procurement file. Okay. So I guess to specifically answer the question, you said we just need the vendor acknowledgement of receipt of the standard terms and conditions. You don't specifically need for them to acknowledge anything. That's a part of the procurement file. So if they are responding to it, they are agreeing to those standard terms and conditions. We have another question. Why are the standard certifications separate? They're separated out because I'm assuming it's because since they're just a separate document, so I might have to circle back to that if there's a specific reason why. But it's just the BOA just refers to the certifications that need to be there, because if on that certifications, let me pull it up. It might make it a little bit easier if I pull it up. There's a box that the vendor would check for the Board of Elections to whether they need to be registered for BOE. Let me see, standard terms and conditions, or sorry, standard certifications. Let me pull that up real quick. So if you scroll down the standard certs, there actually is a box that the vendor is either required or not required to register. So that vendor will say, no, I'm not required to register. I do not have contracts that reach $50,000 annually with the state of Illinois. I'm not required. But if they are, then the vendor is saying, yep, I've registered with the State Board of Elections. Okay, and I forgot to note that I was referring to small purchases under $2,000 and not in bid buy. Oh, okay. Yeah, if it's less than $2,000, it's not going into bid buy. You know, so yeah, we don't have to, we can just move on from that. Okay. I believe got on all our questions. So those are those small changes, and I like to, anytime we make those small changes, even though it's a small one where we added standard terms and conditions, it was a good opportunity today to and brought up a couple good questions too, to work through these things and discuss them. So the new standard, not, I shouldn't say new standard terms and conditions, it's just specifically the standard terms and conditions that was added to that. Okay, so we get to our fun fact of the day. So I apologize, I'm all over the place today. There's a lot going on. So, but I love baseball. 1980-year-old young blood becomes the first Major League Baseball player to play and get 2 hits for 2 different teams in the same day. During an afternoon game, he drove in the winning run for the Mets. Once the game was complete, he was traded to the Montreal Expos and played in a night game in Philadelphia. He singled in the 4th inning. I thought that was pretty cool. 1693, champagne was invented by Dom Perignon. Who doesn't like a good glass of champagne every now and again? And then we also have August 4th is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. So a good day. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions. We'll go ahead and end the call. These slides, as usual, will be sent out to everybody on the call today, as well as they will be posted in our training center. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next Tuesday.